So, should we buy or sell Zoetis? First off, read this disclaimer carefully and do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. So we have a Megatrend theme called Pet Animal Affection. 42% from the 52-week low, but a minus 39% pullback. So we are in bear market territory. Zoetis is the one that's holding up the most. 66% from the low, a 1% pullback. Okay, so here is the company's website. Yeah, they are in the pharma industry for pets and other animals, like farm animals, as you can see here with this cow. So here is the chart. Weekly data points, and it's been on a very substantial rally. Something that is important to note here is that, notwithstanding that, okay, it's currently going up, sure, bulls are in control. During a bull market, it can easily have these very substantial corrections. And if you look at this correction here, that actually went below the green 50-week moving average, this happened, after that lockdown plunge. So it all of a sudden decided to have, let's just measure it. So from this high here to this low, yeah, we were approaching bear market. In terms of being more than minus 20% off the highs. So that is something to just be aware of. When you see a chart like this and it just made a new all-time high and everything seems bullish, then you need to look at the history. What is the personality of this stock? And this one obviously has a tendency to rally big, but then have big pullbacks. Looking at daily data points, sure, bulls are in control, so let's look at some other indicators. So when we look here at the RSI, the distance from the 20, 50, 100, and 200 week moving averages, and also the MACD. So the MACD, throughout the history of this stock, it's never been this high. And these other indicators are at a very elevated level that historically tend to be risky for bulls. So at least for new bullish positions. Sure, a bull that is long and bought near the lows, sure, that person is fine. But for a new position, the question is, should you be bullish or bearish? The technicals here are not favoring a new bullish trade. Looking at daily data points, accumulation is still holding up. Looking here at an RSI and the distance from the 20, 50, 100, and 200 day moving averages, you can see yourself, we are currently at levels that are risky. So there is risk here for the bulls. Looking at seasonality over the last 5 years, then January is strong. The last 10 years, well, let's take 11. And then we do see that January, which is the next month, it is the weakest month for Zoetis. It is not extremely weak. I mean, it closes higher 55% of the time, but this data is facts. This is just the reality. And it is very clear that January is the weakest month. So if there is going to be a pullback, the bears that look at seasonality will be more interested in shorting into January. Certainly more interested than shorting into April, as an example. Here we are on the upper end of this trend channel, and that has triggered pullbacks in the past. We are up 42%-ish year to date. That is obviously, pretty good. But, the question is how much more is left. So number 2 buy, see value, see growth, see momentum. Industry rank, bottom 40%. There is a dividend, 0.43%, but that is very modest. $111 billion in market cap. So let's look at what the insiders are doing. So we did see some accumulation here, but then we have sell, 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 sell. So the majority of transactions here from the insiders has been selling. And that is bearish. The price target average is 3.5% above the stock price, which means that this stock, according to the analysts, is very fairly priced at this point. The highest target is 12.7% above, and the lowest is minus 25.7. Okay, then we look at correlations. So we have long-term 95% with S&P 500, 94% with consumer discretionaries, and 91% with the pet ETF, PAWS. Yeah. And minus 58% with the dollar index. Looking at daily data points, 95% with the SPY, 88% with XLI, 20% with PAWS. So it's interesting that we have this relatively low correlation with PAWS. You would expect it to be higher. Then you have 91% positive with the dollar index short term. Looking at the history of the correlation with the dollar index, we are at a very high end of that range. It usually is much lower. So to sum up here, my take for Zoetis. The technical case here shows us that, statistically speaking, the majority of times where we have these kinds of indicators, readings on these indicators, RSI, distance from these moving averages, and especially the MACD, we have just unprecedented readings on the MACD. So this is obviously very euphoric. The rally is very excessive, and we have seen a breakdown in other stocks in this this theme. The fundamental case is bearish, especially given that you have very modest price targets. So the analysts are they don't even want to take a higher target because they don't want to look foolish either. And given that analysts are habitually very excessively bullish, it is very interesting to see that they are not willing to go higher for this stock. The insiders are selling. Seasonality is also bearish, given that January is the weakest month. So I think there's more reasons to be bearish than bullish on Zoetis at these levels.